Yep. Welcome, and thank you all for joining us today. For the third year in a row, we want to share with you our plan to help passengers navigate what will be a far more arduous trip to and from JFK Airport during the summer travel season that is coming up. JFK, as many of you know, is in the midst of a $19 billion total transformation that will result in a world-class JFK Airport, which has been up to now routinely rated one of the nation's worst airports, into what will become one of the world's finest when we are done. This project is the largest that JFK or any U.S. airport has ever seen. We're already through the completion of 2 projects, expansions of Terminal 4 and Terminal 8. Each one of these 3 projects, three major projects, however, are still fully underway. Brand new and expansive international terminals 1 and 6, and a brand new roadway network. These terminals will be far larger than the terminals they replace. The new Terminal 1 alone will be nearly the size of our 2 new terminals at LaGuardia combined, a new Terminal 6 that will connect with Terminal 5. Each one of these 3 projects would be a tremendous undertaking on its own. Together, they represent the largest airport reconstruction, transformation in the history of the country. It's also worth noting that more than 3/4 of the investment to rebuild JFK will come from the private sector. JFK is the U.S.'s largest international gateway. 60 million passengers a year and growing. For the sake of the region, for the sake of the nation, for the sake of the international role that JFK plays, we are committed to efficiently maintaining its operations during the construction. Combination of extensive construction, however, and an unprecedented level of passengers are combining to create the potential, this year as last year, for significant congestion and longer travel times to get to and through the airport. This summer, we anticipate more than $200 million of construction activity every single month. These are not projects, however, that will go on forever. We are making progress. Construction is moving forward at a blistering pace, with the first gates at our new international terminals due to open during 2026. The first new sections of roadways, I'm pleased to say, have already opened. Roadway openings will continue on a phased basis. But the fact is, large amounts of construction will be a fact of life for this coming peak travel season. The forecast for record summer travel will add to the potential for congestion, particularly at peak periods. Passengers should allow for extra time both to get to the airport and to get to their terminal if they're driving. We want to highlight, however, a huge asset that JFK has in our ability to manage traffic, and that is the JFK AirTrain. In order to encourage travelers to take the train, as we did last summer, we are once again reducing the single-trip fare 50% from $8.50 to $4.25. Jamaica Station is a 20-minute connection from either Penn Station or Grand Central or Atlantic Terminal via the LIRR or the E, J, and Z subway trains, or use the A train going to Howard Beach. We've added AirTrain capacity during peak hours to certain routes. To describe the actual impacts on construction and the nature of the new routes that people will face as they come into Kennedy Airport, I'll turn the program over to Jessica Force, Program Executive for JFK Redevelopment. Jessica?
Thank you, Rick. As Rick mentioned, we're approaching the peak of construction activity and increasing the work we are doing on the roadway network. With that comes impact. Expect changes to the roads at the terminals and the frontages that will reduce their capacity to handle vehicles. Periodic lane closures on the highways accessing the terminals, as well as long-term traffic pattern changes and detours. But as Rick mentioned, before we walk through some of the impacts, we wanted to highlight some of the progress that's been made this year. In May, we opened the first new bridge that's part of the JFK Redevelopment Program, which provides the new access to the Terminal 4 departures level. Later this year, in the fall, we will open a new access route to Terminals 5 and 7 that will improve the traffic flow to both of those terminals. Now I'd like to touch on some of the changes that have been put in effect in advance of the summer travel season. So modeled after traffic management successes of previous summers, we've put into place changes for customers using for-hire vehicles. Customers arriving on flights at Terminals 4, 5, and 7 will need to pick up their Uber, Lyft, or other for-hire vehicle at a location off of the terminal frontage. No impacts for customers departing on flights. Your Uber or Lyft will still be able to drop you at the terminal frontage. Pickups for passengers using ADA vehicles will remain at the terminal frontages, and these changes will be in effect until further notice. For Terminal 4, similar to last summer, customer pickups will be at a lot adjacent to Federal Circle, and away from the congested terminal area. This lot is accessed via a free shuttle bus from the terminal frontage and departs continuously. New for this summer, travelers arriving to Terminals 5 and 7 and looking to take a for-hire vehicle will need to take the free air train ride to the parking lot adjacent to Howard Beach to pick up their vehicles. While we recognize that this may be a frustrating experience, remote pickup lots will save travelers time in their overall journey by avoiding gridlock conditions at the airport terminal frontages and using trains or buses to move travelers off of the airport roadway network. If for some reason you can't take the train, we want to remind travelers about the free wait lot at Lefferts Boulevard Air Train Station. This lot is directly adjacent to the air train station, which is a free 8-minute ride to the terminals. It allows you to drop off or pick up customers heading to the terminals, wait free of charge in that lot for to pick up your customers. We also wanted to highlight some major operational changes happening this week. The primary impact will be for travelers destined to Terminal 7, but impacts could be felt by all travelers. What you see on the screen right now is the current routing and highlights that no matter if you're coming from Brooklyn, Manhattan, points east on Long Island, you will be impacted by this roadway change. What you'll see on the screen now is the current routing to Terminal 7 from the access points I just highlighted. So as you can see, the access point is a direct link to Terminal 7 arrivals and departures level. What will go into effect now is change traffic patterns, which will take drivers through the Terminal 5 area in and around parking garages, and will have a longer route to Terminal 7. What we also want to highlight for everyone is, in addition to impacts on the roadways throughout the airport, we want drivers to be alert and aware for real-time instructions from Port Authority police officers who may be located at key locations throughout the airport terminals. And these locations can vary depending upon time of day and expected traffic conditions. We also want to highlight for people that in addition to the roadway construction, JFK has lost nearly 5,000 parking spaces across the airport. Travelers who are looking to park should note that parking lots close to the terminals are particularly affected by these closures. If you want to guarantee a space is available, pre-book your parking space. In addition, we've created remote overflow parking lots to handle volume at key points in time, but those lots will require connections via free shuttle bus or air train. We also wanted to provide a quick update on some construction work happening just outside of the airport being undertaken by the New York State Department of Transportation. The project on the Van Wyck between Kew Gardens and JFK Airport aims to increase the capacity for travelers between Kew Gardens and JFK. The project will add express HOV lanes and integrate seamlessly into the new airport roadway network. This project is scheduled to open in 2026. In addition, we wanted to highlight some airport proactive traffic management strategies that are employed by us at JFK. The Airport Operations Center, which is staffed by a multidisciplinary team, including the Port Authority Police, Port Authority Operations, and traffic engineering staff. This team leverages predictive analysis, passenger data, airline data, real-time travel information to implement and allocate resources to respond to increased queues of vehicles that may be seen throughout the roadway network. As we mentioned a few moments ago, this team is the one directing the frontline Port Authority police staff that you may be seen throughout the airport on the roadway network. In addition, we've implemented a full-scale communications strategy meant to alert drivers and travelers to what they can expect at the airport, including airline messaging, social media, targeted ads, digital billboards, and streaming as well. Most importantly, we want to highlight what we recommend customers to do based upon the impacts we've just described. First and foremost, we want to highlight, please, if you can avoid it, do not drive to JFK this summer. Leverage and take public transportation and take advantage of the reduced air train fare that Rick just mentioned. If you must drive, arrive to the airport roadways 3 hours early. If you must park, remember to pre-book your parking space. One may not be available when you arrive at the airport. We also want to remind everyone of the free drop-off and pickup lot at Lefferts Boulevard, where you can wait in your car free of charge to meet or drop off your customer that may be traveling to the central terminal area. If you need to return to the terminals for some reason after dropping your customer off, please be aware that due to a number of roadway closures, this could take you an additional 15 to 20 minutes of travel time. Normally, and at peak times, that could be over 30 minutes. Follow signages and use the mapping platforms for the best information about how to do that. Again, just final thoughts on what travelers use to know. Please use mass transit. Again, take advantage of the reduced air train fare. Leave extra time. Again, we are recommending 3 hours to arrive to the airport roadways 3 hours in advance of your flight. Pre-book parking, and again, leverage that free wait lot where you can wait free of charge for your customer to travel to the terminal areas. Other ways to stay informed throughout the summer as changes are occurring, use the various mapping platforms that we just discussed, Waze, Google Maps, Apple Maps. They're regularly updated with changes. The construction.jfk.airport.com is a good place to find updated information. Read your emails from your airlines. We're regularly working with them to update communication about travel to the airport and get alerts via e-alerts on X at JFK Airport. Now I'll turn it back to Rick to give you an update on what we are building at JFK.
Thank you, Jessica. And it is important as we talk about the potential for congestion this summer to remember that we are building a new JFK that will be top quality, world class, and worth not only the wait, but the inconvenience. But I do want to say we apologize for any inconvenience. We are working as hard as we can to keep the traffic on the airport moving and to make the experience to be as helpful as we can to passengers. Although we may see congestion at peak times this summer, we do believe that once travelers see the new JFK that we are building, they will agree that the new JFK Airport was worth any inconvenience. An entirely new roadway network is under construction. We are replacing the old and confusing roadways which have aptly been called a spaghetti bowl. with a new and far more efficient roadway network to get travelers to the terminals quickly and efficiently. Over 6 new miles of roads are being built. We're building 5 new bridges and extensively modifying 6 others, simplifying the roadways significantly. The result will be, when we're finished, a much less stressful experience for travelers driving to JFK. A new Terminal 1 anchoring the south side of JFK and encompassing what will have been 3 former terminal sites, 1, 2, and 3. New Terminal 1 will be extraordinary. At 2.4 million square feet, a world-class, all-international terminal that evokes a uniquely New York sense of place. A new Terminal 6, which is being built on the site of the former Terminal 6, and will expand into what is now Terminal 7, a terminal which is slated for demolition. This 1.2 million square foot terminal will connect seamlessly to Terminal 5, creating an anchor terminal on JFK's north side. It will be world-class, and it will be worth waiting for. We're confident that we can produce what we are promising. Why? Because we've done it before at LaGuardia and at Terminal A at Newark Liberty Airport. LaGuardia Terminal B and Newark Terminal A are the only airport terminals in North America to be awarded the highest Skytrax rating. Skytrax is the premier rating service for airports. Terminal B at LaGuardia and Terminal A at Newark have also both received UNESCO's Prix Versailles, a global architecture and design award. In 2024, Forbes Travel Guide named LaGuardia the best airport in the United States based on a survey of 5,000 frequent flyers and travel agents. At JFK, we are committed to doing it again. Travelers will be able to begin to experience the new facilities next year when the first new terminal gates open. When we're done, JFK will recapture its past glory when simply the name JFK International represented the pinnacle of international air travel. Thank you for joining the briefing, and we'll now be happy to take questions.
And as a reminder for any reporters that joined through Zoom to use the hand raise function, please, in the chat so we can call on you for a question. All right, the first question is Jeff Yapalatter with the Airport Voice. Jeff.
Hey, folks, how are you?
Good, Jeff.
Good presentation. Just for the public awareness. So when this is all completed, there are going to be 2 roadways kind of for the airport. Can you just explain that a little bit?
Sure. The roadway network changes that we're talking about, ultimately, when they're fully open and operational, access points for each of the terminals will happen kind of at the main entrance to the airport off of the expressways, rather than close into the terminals, which creates some confusion and anxiety for people. So again, those access points will be moved further out, just adjacent to the airport property, where you, as a traveler, you would expect that to happen on the highway.
Any specific, in other words, terminals, 1, 4, or 5, 6, 7, or how the roadway is going to work that way?
Sure. Terminals 1 and 4 will have access from what is traditionally thought of as the South or the Van Wyck Expressway. Terminals 5, 6, and 7 will have access from what is traditionally thought of as the JFK Expressway, again, with an interconnection created just at the adjacent, on the airport property, adjacent to the state highways.
So when they're coming in, they'll be able to quickly see to go this way or that way, and it'll be real simple, right?
That is correct.
Thank you.
The point, Jeff, is not to have everybody forced onto a single highway entrance. So drivers will be offered a choice in terms, depending on which terminal they want to go to earlier before they get too deep into airport roadway system. And that will, in our judgment, significantly reduce the congestion and make travelers able to get to their terminal more quickly and easily.
Let's move along. Thank you.
Next question is Zach Griff with the Points Guy. Zach?
Thank you so much. The presentation is really helpful. I want to ask around a different area on wayfinding, which is gate numbering. A lot of folks have told me that they find it currently very confusing with all the changes that are happening. When are you guys planning to renumber the gates at JFK?
So, Jeff, that process is actually already taking shape, and it's being implemented kind of slowly but surely. Terminal 5 has already actually gone through and updated their gate numbering, and we'll be moving towards a nomenclature where there's not a repetitive gate on the airport. It's incremental, as you can imagine. Doing that is quite impactful to travelers and the airline, so we've been doing it incrementally, but 5 has been the first one to update their gate numbers.
And then one follow-up question is around black cars. I've been told by some folks that they can still pick up black cars directly at terminal frontage, especially at Terminal 4. I'm curious how you guys decided that, the black cars are allowed to do that, but not, different style Ubers or something like that.
I think black cars pickups should still be happening at the remote location. We do have premium pickups for Uber allowed at the Terminal 4 frontage, but traditional black cars, which...
Fair, but why the Uber black car at Terminal 4? Why not Lyft black car? Or is there some type of arrangement there that they're compensating you for to accommodate that externality that they're placing on the airport and the rest of its passengers?
So we offered that optionality to multiple providers if they could provide the service in a kind of a pin style pickup that is happening the way Uber is doing it. So we would be open to expanding that if other vendors could provide that service, and if at any time we feel that the traffic has been negatively impacted by that volume, we will make a change to push all of those vehicles to be remote as well.
Got it. Thank you.
And that concludes the Q&A. Thank you very much, everyone.